Y'all, I was going to wear something vacation themed just to, fit the vibe of being in Mexico with the girls. But since we're still talking about slut shaming, I was like, let me throw on my high body count shirt. So let's get into this review. So the episode picks up with Meredith and Angie reflecting on everything that happened at the bat mitzvah and Meredith throwing Angie out. And so we get both of their perspectives. And Meredith, she's still in her house testing out bath bomb scents. And I'm like, girl, just give it up. We're at the end of the season. There's no point in still trying to find a storyline. At this point, your storyline, especially if you want to secure yourself for next year, you just better go on this trip and act a fool. Just do that. So she still, and even Seth didn't even care because while she's working on that, Seth was like, all right, like, we don't care about this bath bomb. We can talk about this later, girl. Let's talk about what happened at the bat mitzvah. And I'm like, thank you. Like, Seth is ready for the show with his little antics, with his booyah, biatch. Like, Seth knows the game, okay? And he's here for the antics. He knows how reality TV works, Meredith. We tired of this. But they're reflecting. Meredith is talking about how she was just so offended because Angie has a pattern of slut shaming. And which I'm gonna get into my feelings about that when we get to the whole argument later on. But she was so offended about Angie slut shaming because Angie was talking about how Meredith years ago was spreading her legs for everybody, and so she was just like, I'm had enough. Like, she slut shamed me. She's talked about my disability, and Brooks is like, it's not a disability, it's a superpower. I was like, ciao. But she's just over it. She's just over it. We go over to Angie's house, and Angie and Sean, they're reflecting on it. And Angie, she's just like, I haven't stopped crying ever since. And I'm like, girl, see, this is my issue. I love Angie. And Angie is proving to me so far why she's Central Snowflake and why she's first seat in the reunion. But I hate when she does this. I'm like, girl, when she reads and when she's on point. But it's like, stick in it. Don't like turn up and then get upset and then talk about you crying because she threw you out. Girl, you were acting a fool at her event. And the girl don't like you. So like, what are you expecting? Like, it's not enough to be crying over. But that's my thing. Like, I'm all about, if you're gonna go off on somebody, stand in it. Just stand and like, yeah, I went off, and yeah, that tacky bitch who didn't bring a gift to, the other events, she threw me out. Like, stand in it. Don't go home telling her I'm crying and I'm so devastated. And then later on, she brings up, oh, you threw me out in front of your family. Well, girl, you was out there screaming dick and pussy to Bronwyn and throwing fur coats on the ground in front of her family too. Like, what are you talking about? Like, just stand in it, girl, because we like you when you stand in it. Okay. So they're reflecting on that though. She's told me she hasn't stopped crying. She's been upset. And Sean is just like, how are you gonna, navigate this trip? And they're gonna figure it out. And he's like, well, just don't let her put you in this position again. And she's like, oh, it's never gonna happen. So we move on from that. Mary, she ends up coming over to Angie's house. And y'all, Mary just has an issue with getting into doors. Because, first of all, she gets there, she's knocking, and I'm like, does this girl not have a doorbell? This, multi-million dollar, beautiful modern home. You telling me it doesn't have a doorbell? And so finally she's like, you know what? I'm just going to walk in. She's struggling with the door, and I'm like, Lord, here we go again. But she goes in and sits down. And Angie is so unaware because let me tell you something. One, I'm never leaving my door unlocked. Okay, I don't care if the producers are there. I don't care if there's a whole camera crew there. My front door is going to always stay locked because I'm not just letting anybody and everybody walk in. Especially on a reality TV show where, people figure out where you live and stuff like that. Monica was driving by everybody's houses. I'm not leaving my door unlocked for anyone. But Mary is sitting in there and Angie comes in. She's still getting everything prepared and she don't see her. Let me tell you something. there would have been there would have been some bullets flying around because I would have got scared and be like, ah, and just, yeah, no, absolutely not. No. But it was funny. She finally sees her. They end up talking. They're trying to figure out how to open champagne. And I'm like, y'all, do not do that on the couch. Not on the couch if y'all don't know how to open it. And so they start talking, and Mary opens up to Angie about the whole situation with her son. And I'm just like, Mary really cares about Angie. Because the fact that she was so comfortable, sharing that with her, and she didn't do it with Meredith after, she was crying and hugging on her, talking about, I really love you and stuff like that. But clearly she knows that she can't trust Meredith. I think Mary and Angie's friendship, this solidified to me right here that this is a genuine friendship. And I love it. I love it. But she opens up and she's like, running Angie through the whole situation with Robert Jr. And when I tell y'all, I started crying again, especially when Mary was sitting there crying and, blaming herself and everything like that. I just started crying again. And so Angie's trying to comfort her. And, she's like, I understand, like, don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. And she starts, relating it to the situation with her mom and her alcohol addiction. And she's like, don't sit there and blame yourself for it. And I'm just like, Mary, you are a good mom. You baby him too much. He need to figure out how to get out there on on his own. But you are a good mom, and just some things like you just can't help. You can't watch over him every 2 seconds. You couldn't have been there at that party with him to hover over him to say, don't take that. Like it's impossible to control 100% of what your child is gonna do. You did the best you can, and all you can do is just keep on pushing. So it was nice to see though. I was crying. At first, I'm not gonna lie, to Angie's, I don't know if it's just the way her face is set up. I don't know if it's like plastic surgery or whatever, but at first I was having a hard time reading Angie's face because I felt like she had this weird facial expression. And I was just like, did they like practice this scene? But then once Mary started crying, I'm like, no, there's no way this was like premeditated. And so, yeah, they do that. It was a lovely moment. I'm not gonna get into it because I ain't got time to be crying up in here. Not in my high body count shirt. So looking like I'm gonna be an emotional slut. Look, I'm only a slut for my man, okay? That throws me off. But what happens next, y'all? Okay, so Mary asks us, Angie, she's like, just keep this between us. And Angie's like, I got you. What happens here stays here. And one thing I trust with Angie is Angie's a very loyal friend. Sometimes she's too loyal, but Angie is a very loyal friend. And I feel like she's definitely that person that you can go to and like confide in. If she would have told Meredith, Meredith would have told Lisa, Lisa would have told Heather, Heather would have told Whitney, and then the entire group would have known within like 20 minutes. So they would have been all talking to each other on the phone before Mary even walked out of Meredith's house. So I'm glad she told the right person. And I think Mary knows that. The girls start, getting ready for the trip. They head to the airport. And so when they all get to the airport, Bronwyn, she ends up giving all the girls these cute little like passport holders. They was cute. And so Lisa's like, well, girl, like you called me and asked, could you give out gifts? And I said, don't worry about it. I got this taken care of. And you still, bought it. And part of me is like, okay, Bronwyn was doing this to be nice. So I'm like, girl, another part of me is thinking she probably thought she was going to call Lisa, be like, hey, I'm going to bring these gifts. And Lisa's going to be like, oh, yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, sure. Like, I appreciate it. And she wasn't expecting Lisa to say, no, don't worry about it. I got it. But then she's like, crap, I already got these. But I'm just like, girl, regardless, if you were going to give these out in the first place, just why even call and ask Lisa if you were going to still give it out? Whether it was intentionally like malicious or not, you were still going to give them out regardless. So there was no point in calling her. You should have just showed up with the airport and be like, hey, I got gifts for everybody. Because then it would have seemed less shady than you calling her saying no, and you still bringing it. But it is what it is, y'all. They're all talking. Lisa checks on her. She's like, how are you doing? We end up finding out Bronwyn got bit by a dog. And so when she started first telling the story, I was like, oh, this bitch probably exaggerating, until when they showed that shit, I was like, oh my gosh. Like, that looked terrible. And I've gotten bit by a dog before, but not like that. Like, I got like a little, I just had like a little mark on my arm and my leg. But that wasn't a bite. That was an attack. Like, she's talking about something, yeah, she got bit by a dog. No, girl, you got attacked by a dog. That was an attack. And like, I can't imagine if I was in a dog park and my dog, my baby, it throws me off, y'all, but my baby, she's friendly. Actually, she's scared of other dogs. She's scared of people, honestly. Like, it takes her a long time to get comfortable with people. But let's say she wasn't friendly. Child, if my dog would have bit her and I would have found out how rich this bitch was, I'd be devastated. I'd be like, well, There goes my life savings. There goes my house. There goes everything. Like, I'm gonna be living out of a cardboard box after that. I just can't imagine just my dog biting the richest bitch of the land. That'll be it. But yeah, that shit looked terrible. But we get past that. They get on an airplane. They arrive to Mexico and they're getting in a van. They got their drinks and stuff like that. And so Lisa's talking about how she has a PowerPoint. And I was pausing it and looking at the slides and I'm like, wow, this girl is really going in depth planning this trip. But you know what? Good for her. Would I want to go on a Lisa Barlow trip? Hell yeah. Shoot. I'll take a trip anywhere. As long as if you taking me to Mexico, I'll go. As long as we not, stuck in a shack somewhere and I'm getting kidnapped because they be getting kidnapped in Mexico sometimes too. Or you get kidnapped anywhere overseas. I know Mexico not overseas, but you get kidnapped anywhere you go out the country. You got to be careful, y'all, when y'all go to these places because people just get bold and adventurous and think they could just go out exploring. And it's like, you need to know the area where you're traveling. But hell, y'all going on a Lisa Barlow trip. She's talking about she has a PowerPoint. And so they get to the place and I'm looking and I'm like, I see the name of the place. I'm like, oh, Lisa only picked this place because the first four letters in the name of this hotel was Vita. And then later on, she starts talking about how she likes it here because Vita's made in this town. I was like, of course, girl. Of course. We just getting Vita thrown at us like left and right and left and right. And I'm like, girl, like you're promoting Vita, but if you really want to get Vita out there, you need to get it in more stores. Because, like I said, when I went to Salt Lake City in August, it wasn't in that many restaurants. At least a few restaurants I went to, I didn't see them there. And it's like, even outside of that, girl, you need to get it shipped across the country because I don't think I've ever seen Vita in like the liquor stores. So you need to, you really want to put it out there. The show is cute because, yeah, we might order something and get it delivered, but nobody's really ordering it to get delivered. You need to have it in a store where we can access it. Convenience, girl. We live in America. We love convenience. That's all I'm saying. But they get there. The villas are nice. And the funny thing is this is Lisa Barlow gave the production. Let me rewind that. Sorry, y'all. Lisa Barlow gave production the reunion seating. Because literally the way they were placed in the villas was a reunion seating. Like she handed it to them and they were like, oh, okay, thank you. And so her placements made sense. And like the way she explained that, it all made sense. Like Brittany is not getting along with Angie, so she can't be in there with Angie. Angie and Whitney are cool, so it makes sense for them to be together. Mary's cool with Angie, so it makes sense for them three to be together. And then Bronwyn don't really like Brittany, and we already don't want Brittany. And Mary don't like Brittany either. Like none of those girls over there like Brittany, so why would you put Brittany over there? So it made sense. It made sense. And so I'm going to give y'all a warning now. One thing about this channel, this is a very unbiased channel. So just as much as I drag Heather, I'm going to drag all the girls too. And so now this is Bronwyn's turn. My thing is with this whole room situation is this. I feel like if Lisa would have explained it the way she explained it in the confessional about how Brittany doesn't get along with any of those girls, so why would she put Brittany over there? It would have made more sense. Like if she would have just said it that way instead of just how she approached the conversation later on when she addressed it with Bronwyn. But the thing I'm going to say about Bronwyn is this. After my last review, I said, oh, that was so funny. That episode was hilarious. I'm going to go watch that episode again. And I surely did. I am not a fan of Heather, but Heather clocked Bronwyn's tea. As much as we don't like Heather, Heather has clocked Bronwyn's tea way ahead of time. And now I'm starting to see what Heather is talking about. Let's think about this. Bronwyn has not been loyal to anybody but Lisa. Okay? She has flipped on Whitney. She has flipped on Angie. She flipped on Brittany. She's been flipping and flopping on Brittany. She wants to, be part of the mean girl clique because she's real quick to, throw Brittany under the bus. And my thing is this, the stuff Brittany has done is nothing compared to the stuff Heather has done to you. But even though Heather has done all this stuff to you and Heather's been constantly coming at you, you're still pining to be with Heather and Lisa. Like, girl, your slip is showing. I'm starting to see what Heather's saying, girl. Your slip is showing. And the thing is with these girls is all of these girls are authentically them. Heather is authentically a pick me. So, that's just how she is. Lisa is authentically self centered. Meredith is authentically a victim and dramatic. And Whitney is authentically always in her, healing journey and, manipulating people's emotions. Like those are authentically themselves. Then you have this girl Bronwyn coming in and she's trying to play this game with the girls when like these girls fight and stuff like that, but they're low key friends too, and they fight because their personalities are real. And Bronwyn, I feel like, is just trying to come in and just see where she can fit in. So I see what Heather is saying now. I see what Heather is saying now. Then, like, Bronwyn's okay being the mean girl, and she's sitting at the table laughing with Angie and all the other girls, even after she just got into an argument with Angie. They're all laughing at Brittany's expense. But then when it's your turn and you're not in the cool girl squad, you're in the villa crying. Heather called it. I am not a fan of Heather. I have not been a fan of Heather this season, but Heather clocked Bronwyn's tea. I gotta give it where I can give it. I gotta give credit where I have to give it. Heather clocked Bronwyn's tea. And so the room situation wasn't even that serious. I don't know why the girl was crying. Like I said, she's pining to be Lisa's friend. But now you just jumped ship. You just recently betrayed Angie and Whitney. And now you're running in there, tucking your tail in between your legs, trying to, be their friend now. Because now you don't have a choice. Girl, see, you messed up. You shouldn't have turned on them in the first place. I was with Whitney there. You shouldn't have turned on them in the first place. Like if you were gonna do it, you were this housewife who you thought you came in and you were playing the game. You didn't play it smart enough and you revealed your hand too quick. And one thing about it is, I guess you're not smart enough to outwit Heather. I can't believe I'm saying that. You got me saying Heather's right, Bronwyn. I still love Bronwyn, but you got me saying Heather is right now. So it is what it is. But Bronwyn's upset because she's not in the same villa as Lisa, even though they all got their own rooms. The villa is like super beautiful. And so she's in there groveling to Whitney and Angie now because she don't have a choice. Like now she's not on the popular girls team, I guess we want to call it. And Lisa, she's just at the point where she's like, she's getting tired of Bronwyn. She's like, every time, you know, I'm talking to Bronwyn, there's a complaint, like something is going on. And on the flip side of it, the room thing is ridiculous, but all the stuff Bronwyn has been complaining about Lisa not being a good friend to her, on board with that. I'm on board with it. So we get past that. What happens next? So we get like the pre-dinner drinks. So they go to like this little poolside area, and they start having some pre-dinner drinks. And of course, they're throwing Vita tequila in our face, like Vita. And we're just like, okay, child, we know, we know. If you want to keep plugging yourself and throwing it in our face, that we tired of it. Do you? It's your brand, but girl, we know. And so Brit Brittany has an announcement again for the 15th time. And I will say this. Say what you want about Brittany. Brittany is a pick me. Brittany may be annoying. Brittany may be so, she may be unaware. She just may be all about herself. But at the end of the day, I'm okay with it because Brittany is entertaining. It could be worse. We could have two Mayleys. Brittany could be another Mayley, and it's just like, why is this girl here? She's just taking up space. But at least we may not like Brittany all the time, but we get some comedic moments from her. We love to watch her get dragged, and she's engaged. Like she's involved. She's involved with the girl. So I'll give her credit right there. But she makes an announcement talking about how, she's starting to get on the good foot with her daughters. And I'm just like, I want to see more of that. Okay, not more of her. I mean, I want to see her get on a good foot with her daughters, but I really want to know why her daughters don't talk to her. That's what I really want to know. And so she's talking about that. The girls don't care. They're just like, okay, child, like we don't care. And then she's upset that the girls don't care. And it's like, girl, why should we care? Because the thing is with Brittany is always bringing something up. Then when it gets used against her, she get upset. So the girls are like, look, we don't have time for you. Everything you say is always ridiculous anyway. You might be fine with your daughters now, but they probably not going to be talking to you next week. Just like you fine with Jared one week, and then he's not talking to you the next week. You with some other guy. You with Aaron. Was that guy's name Aaron? I don't know. But she with somebody else. So they get past that. And so all the girls sit down, right? And everyone's just like, oh, they're making small talk. And then Braun was like, all right, you know what? Like, I guess I'll be the person. I'm going to say it. Like, I'm upset that you put me over in the villa with them. So, one thing about Brittany now is because, like I said, Brittany is a pick me. She's always been a pick me with these men, which is why she's been picking, pining for men over her children. And now she got Lisa because, let's be real, Lisa's the popular girl of the group. Everybody wants to be Lisa's friend. So now she's in the villa with Lisa too. Brittany was fucking feeling herself. She's annoying, but it was funny. She was really feeling herself. So they start going back and forth, and Bronwyn was just getting on my nerves with this whole thing. I'm sorry. Like I said, I think the room situation is not a big deal. Like, I don't understand why you're pining to be. I thought Bronwyn was going to come in and be like that girl because, you got the money, you got the fashion, you're witty. I thought you were going to be that girl too. And I thought, like, Lisa, remember I said at the beginning of the season, oh, Lisa is attracted to Bronwyn's type. Remember, Lisa came into the store when they first met in her sweatpants and was just like, oh my God, like, I love what you're buying. And Bronwyn was looking like, who is this poor girl talking to me? And it's crazy how the dynamic is completely switched now. And it's like Bronwyn is like pining for Lisa, like, oh my God, I'm hurt. I need to be near you. Coddle me, coddle me. And I'm like, Bronwyn, this is not you, girl. This is not the Bronwyn I met at the beginning of the season. Who is this girl? It's like she's done a complete 180. I still love her. And I still love that she's calling Lisa out on her shit, but I'm just like, who are you, girl? So they're going back and forth about this whole room situation. And Lisa's just like I said, if Lisa would have explained how she said it in the confessional, like, this is why the placements are like this. Brittany doesn't really get along with the rest of these girls. We're not going to put her in there so these girls will be over there torturing her, and the rest of those girls are friends anyway. Like, that makes sense. If she would have just said it flat out like that, Braun would have probably still found a way to argue, but it would have been a little bit harder to argue. But instead, Lisa's like, I don't see what the problem is, which I'm still on that too. I'm like, girl, I don't see what the problem is. Like, y'all all got a villa. We're all in a villa. We all got our own rooms. It's not like anyone's sharing a room. Like, the villa is nice. What's the problem? You know? And so they're going back and forth. And Brittany's throwing her little jabs in there. And she's like, maybe it's because Lisa likes me better. Brittany's annoying, but it's funny. I don't care what anybody says. Brittany is annoying, but it's funny. And so she's like, yeah, maybe Lisa likes me better. And that triggered Bronwyn right there. So they're going back and forth. And like, Bronwyn was doing the most because even at one point, Whitney is like, we used to, what does she say? Where is it at? Where is it at? Oh, Whitney is like, oh, we're used to picking our own rooms. And so she said that while Bronwyn was talking. And so Lisa turned to Whitney and it's like, well, this is my trip. I'm going to do my trip how I want to do it. And then Bronwyn's sitting there telling me oh, well, I guess you're not going to listen to me. And it's like, girl, like, Whitney's chiming in too. And she's addressing Whitney, just like how when Brittany's chiming in, you're addressing Brittany. So, like, Bronwyn, girl, what are you doing? Come on, girl. Come on. You got to do better. Like, you can't have me siding with Lisa. And so I just feel like Bronwyn was doing the most. And she's sitting there telling us, I don't care about the rooms. I just wanted to be near you. And I'm like, girl, come on. You were better than that. You were supposed to be coming in here acting like you were a head honcho. And you're not being that girl right now. And so it's just crazy to see because I just feel like her tail was really tucked in between her legs. Like, she was still coming at her, but it just wasn't. I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't like when she was gathering Lisa in Milwaukee, when she was, gathering Lisa on the Palm Springs trip. Like, this was like different. This was different because you're pining for her versus calling her out. I mean, you're calling her out on her shit and pining for her at the same time. I just didn't pine for her attention. Child. It was a mess. It was a mess. But Brittany's side comments, though, she was doing the most. That girl was really feeling herself. She was like, oh, I'm with the cool girls now. Y'all not stopping me. And so Whitney though, so they're still getting into it. Whitney's like, "Look, just say sorry," and Lisa's like, "I'm not gonna say sorry if I don't feel sorry." And Whitney's pretty much like, "No, it's just that you can never say sorry," and that's true. I'm trying to think on the course of Salt Lake City because I've watched Salt Lake City since season one. How many times has Lisa Barlow said sorry? I know she said sorry before, but I bet you it's less than 10 times. So I'm with Whitney. Like sometimes, girl, you just gotta apologize. Just be like, "Look, I'm sorry you feel that way. This is why I did this," and it would have been over. But the freaking bartender is trying to get their attention so they can go to dinner, and these girls are just still going back and forth. Finally, he gets their attention. They start going. They're walking to dinner, and Bronwyn and Lisa are still going at it on the way to the dinner. They get to the dinner table, and so when they get to the dinner table, all the girls sit down, and there's a bag in Angie's chair. Excuse me, y'all. Before we get to that point of the bag in Angie's chair, Brittany jumps back into the argument. And I can't remember what exactly was happening, but Brittany was jumping back into the argument with, Bronwyn and Lisa. And I'm like, girl, this is why you keep getting dragged. Like, I love that you get involved, girl, but this is why you keep getting dragged because you keep inserting yourself into things. And like all the trouble that Brittany has been in this season has been her own doing, which we'll get into in a second. But they sit down, and so Heather is like, one of the girls is like, "Why is there a Brooks Marks bag in your chair?" And you can see Angie's face cracked a little bit when she saw it because she picked it up. She was like, then she opened it and saw what it was, and she was like, she was like, "Okay, bitch, you want to do this? Let's do this." So she's like, "Why is there a Brooks Marks bag here?" So the girls start arguing, and Meredith is like, "Look, I heard that you said you wanted your stuff back." And Angie's like, "Did I say that?" And Meredith's like, "Did you say that?" And everyone's like, "Who said that? Who? Who? Who said that?" So even Heather is like, "Here we go again," because he was doing the same thing at Mary's house, but they're going back and forth about it. And she's like, Aunt Meredith's like, "So did you say it or not?" Because one thing Meredith is going to do when she argues, Meredith is going to play a game of semantics. Everyone has their own arguing style. Meredith's arguing style is to argue about the semantics of things. Okay? And so they're going back and forth. And so Brittany jumps in somehow. I don't even remember how we got to this point. Oh, Brittany jumps in and is like, because you have a history of slut shaming people. And she's like, "Stay out of it." And she's like, "No, I'm not going to stay out of it because it's about me because you got kicked out of her event because of me." And I kind of get it a little bit, but it's like, let the girls, Brittany, stay out of it. Because you keep getting dragged. You jump in, you get dragged, then you get upset. But like she's jumping in it, and then they'll be like, "Stay out of it." Then they'll start arguing, but then Brittany's name will come up because the situation is about Brittany, so then she'll jump back in it. So I kind of get it. I'm going to give her a pass, actually. Brittany got a pass. So she's like, "You have a history of like slut shaming people from what I hear." And so the thing about this is this. These girls are arguing about two completely different things. Brittany thinks that the girls are slut shaming her, and so that's her argument. Angie is not slut shaming you. Angie thinks you're a hypocrite, and that's her argument. And even Heather said it. She's like, "Girl, like, the problem isn't the slut shaming. The problem is like one moment, you're sitting here saying you don't drink wine, or like you're getting upset about her bringing the wine, and then you're drinking wine. And then the other part of it too is as far as like the slut half of it is like all she's doing is calling out that, you're dating these guys, and this is things that you have told us. And you're sitting here telling me you're not sleeping with these guys, but then you're wearing crotchless lingerie in front of the girls talking about how the guys are buying you these things. And so it's just the hypocrisy of it. So they're arguing about two different things. Brittany thinks they're calling her a slut, and their whole argument is, "We don't care that you're sleeping with people. We care that you're a hypocrite." And so they're going back and forth about that. Brittany still thinks they're slut shaming. Angie doesn't care, like I said. And so finally, Lisa gets fed up and she jumps in and she's like, "Look, like, let's stop, arguing about opinion." She's like, "Let's talk about fact." Because, her favorite thing to talk. Look, I'm getting tongue twisted. Her favorite thing to tell people is, "You're lying. Stop lying. Stop lying." She's like, "No, let's talk about fact." And she's like, "What you said, y'all were arguing about the alcohol.
okay, about the wine. And you went from saying, oh, like you're mad about this wine to you're doing three guys, and that doesn't equal out. Like talking about her doing three guys is worse than talking about her drinking. And I'm just like, in the Mormon church, though, I feel like it doesn't matter. I feel like those are just both equally bad. So I get what Lisa's trying to say, but it's like, girl, they're still equally bad. And so the whole thing is because they're trying to figure out who started it. And they're pretty much saying that like Angie started it by bringing up the whole three guy thing in at Mary's house. And the thing is, this is like, let's go a step back though. It's like Brittany started it. Brittany sat there and called everybody out because she felt like she wasn't invited to things. Then she particularly pointed out Angie. She singled her out, talking about, and then you brought wine to my house, knowing that I'm Mormon, blah, 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 blah. And so Angie responded with the three guys thing. The crazy thing is this is like, Brittany, you attacked Angie for no reason because you were mad that you didn't get invited to Bronwyn's trip. You were mad that you weren't getting invited to things, but Angie invited you to her anniversary party. So your argument should have had nothing to do with Angie. But then you roped her in with the whole wine thing, and so Angie clocked you. And now you're mad about it, and you're calling it slut shaming, and she's not calling you a slut. She's just saying you're a hypocrite. That's your problem. It's as simple as that. But they start arguing, and they're going back and forth. Meredith is jumping in. Everyone's kind of like screaming at Angie. Some of the girls are laughing. The table's erupting in chaos. The waiter's trying to order. The waiter's trying to get their order. I wouldn't even have came. I would have just left and been like, I'll come back when things die down. Let me let them figure this out first. But the waiter's trying to get their order. Brittany had me weak, which she kept saying. Because she did this last week, too. When she went to the table last week to Maylee and Whitney, she was like, she said, my hair is slutty. She said, my tits are slutty. And so she kept saying that. She was like, you kept saying, she's like, you said my tits are slutty. You said I had porn star tits. It's just, I don't care what y'all say. Keep Britney's delusional, crazy, ridiculous ass on my screen because she is so ridiculous. I love when she gets dragged. Like, just keep her on my screen. she, said, she said my tits are slutty. She said I had porn star tits. I don't know why that's so funny. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know why that was so funny, but so the whole thing, and the other part with Brittany is like, Brittany is such a gaslighter, and so she does these things, and then when people respond, like she gets confused about why they respond in the way they do, and then she denies things too because she's denying the fact that she called Angie a slut, and then when she kind of like admitted it back last week, she still didn't even admit the full story because she was like, Angie is a slut with Sean, making it seem like she's like cheating on him with a whole bunch of other guys. That's what I got out of it. And so like she's still denying it. And so she's just denying her part in everything. It's just always, whoa, it's me. Everybody's attacking me. And it's like, no, girl, you're the problem. But keep it coming, girl. Keep it coming. So she's like, sorry, y'all. I just looked at my notes. The slutty tits. she said, she said I had porn star tits. Okay, I'm gonna move on. I promise y'all I'm gonna move on. So Heather calls it out. Like I said, she calls Brittany a hypocrite. She's like, look, you're sitting here flashing like your lingerie and stuff like that. And so, oh, I skipped a very important part. Angie throws the bag at Brittany, and the bag like turns upside down. The shampoo bottles fall all over the place. It knocks over some glass and stuff like that. And Brittany's like, oh my God, like really? Like you're throwing stuff at me? And Angie's like, look, I didn't know the bag was gonna turn upside down, you drama queen. That was funny. Angie was wearing her ass. Angie don't have time for anybody. And I'll get to her in a second. Because I got a little piece for Angie, a good piece. I got a piece for Angie at the end of this. But before I give her good piece, so I'm gonna say this. This goes back to Angie always, like they said last week. Angie always pulling a stunt. You kicking over chairs. You bringing out scrolls. I forgot about last season when they were doing when they were turning the butter, she threw like the glass on the ground to get everybody to shut up. Like you're throwing, bags with shampoo bottles in it. And it's just like, girl, like keep it to the reads. You don't have to do like the extra antics, girl. I mean, I'm here for it. But girl, you be doing extra sometimes. You be doing the most. And let me tell you something. It couldn't have been me because she would have threw that thing at me, even if the bag, the contents of the bag didn't spill out, don't throw anything at me. I would have took that shampoo, I would have unscrewed the bottle, and I would have dumped it on her head. I sure would have, and we would have been in that restaurant tussling. The finale would have happened early because we would have been in that restaurant tussling, and that would have been the end of filming right there. Because no, don't throw anything at me. I don't care. Because like the other thing is, this is what if my reflexes weren't quick and I didn't catch it. You just threw a bag at my face and probably landed on my lap or something, or you would have threw the bag and it would have landed on my porn star tits. Like, don't throw anything at me. Yeah, we would have been in there tussling. We would have been rolling on that table, and Meredith would have had Meredith would have had an aneurysm. But they ended up squashing, their beef for now. This is not going to last forever. Meredith is like, look, I'm sorry if I didn't have like all sides of the story, because Meredith is just going off of the fact that she heard that Angie slut shamed her, and she didn't hear that it was in response to Brittany saying that Angie was a slut. And I'm still sticking by the fact that Angie didn't slut shame her. The bitch looked cheap, okay? And she called her out on it. The bitch looked cheap. And so, I mean, she did call her slutty Brittany at one point, but the bitch looked cheap. Let's be real. And so, they squash it for now. And my whole thing is with Angie still is, and this is like I said, what pissed me off earlier is the fact that she's certainly talking about I'm so embarrassed that you like threw me out, like you're yelling at me in front of Heather's daughter and stuff like that. And it's like, girl, you were cussing up a storm, you were throwing fur coats, you're calling people sluts, you're yelling dick and pussy and stuff like that in front of Bronwyn. Like you're doing that in front of their kids too. So it's like, no, girl, make it make sense. If you can act a fool too, Meredith can act a fool. Meredith got more reason to act a fool because it's her event. Like she gets a pass. So, like, don't play that whole victim thing. Like I said, if you're going to go hard, this is my thing with Angie. It's like she goes hard and then she backpedals. Like, if you're going to go hard, stay in it because we love when you go hard. Everyone is cheering. Look, I'm wearing my high body count shirt for you, Angie. Okay? Like everyone loves it. So if you're going to go hard, just stick in it. Just stop backpedaling. But they squash it for now. And so we get a preview of next week, and Angie is coming at Lisa already. Angie's like, well, how about I take a page out of your book and lunge across the table? I was like, come on, girl. And Lisa runs off crying. I see why Angie is first chair now, and I see why she's Center Snowflake. It makes sense. As far as the reunion seating, the reunion seating makes sense because of the girls' alliances. Just like how Lisa explained it. Lisa explained the reunion seating for us. But as far as Angie, at the beginning of the season, I'm like, why is this girl Center Snowflake? But it makes sense now. We have seen so much of Angie this season. Let's go back to the beginning of the season, like the second or third episode. Like we saw a sneak peek of Angie's, business. She was working in a salon when Bronwyn came to visit her. I hope we see more of her businesses, but we've seen Angie's businesses. We've seen, Angie's relationship with her husband, her kids, and her dad. We've seen Angie get activated with all of the girls. Okay, she's been activated with Lisa, who, Lisa's top dog. She's activated with Lisa. She's been activated with Brittany. She's been activated with Meredith. She's been activated with Bronwyn. Like, Angie's not scared to get into it with the girls, And then she is showing out on this vacation. So, like, she's given us everything. Angie has given us everything she can. So, her being Center Snowflake, it's well earned. It's well earned. Congratulations, Angie. But that's my opinion. Oh, you know what? And Mary trusts her. That's a big deal right there. Okay, Mary trusts her too. But that's my opinion, y'all, on this week's episode. It was another good episode. I'm really excited about this trip. I can't wait to see what happens next week. But let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, and subscribe. Bye, y'all.